Because you can say you love someone all day long. Like, I loved my last ex, like, a lot. Like, I don't even know if it was real love or what. I don't know what it was. I know it was toxic love, but I felt at the time that I was really in love with him. And none of it was enough. I did not trust him. And I tried to have love without trust before with him. And I came to this realization that when you try to have love without trust, it is a very unpeaceful connection. There's not any peace. There's just basically now you are becoming obsessed with this person. And when you become obsessed and possessive with them, meaning like you're tracking their calls, tracking where they're going, because you don't trust them. And there's no freedom in there. Whenever they leave and go do something, it's an argument. Whenever you try to leave and go do something, it's an argument because they don't trust you either. But yet y'all are saying, oh, we love each other. But the love can't flourish in a connection like that if there is no trust.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome back to another episode of the Hey Girlfriend podcast. I'm your host, Mindset and Intuitive Coach, Kendall D. And today's topic is, I don't really want to stay. I don't really want to go. I can't sing, but that's the 702 song if y'all don't know. It's all over TikTok, but that's an old classic by 702. But this is like how to tell if you need to stay in this relationship or if you need to get out. Because I find that that is sometimes hard to decipher if it's something that can be worked on or it's something that you should just say it's time to let go. So I'm going to go over some tidbits and tips that can kind of help you to decide, because I'm never going to be the type to tell you you need to leave. Unless the man is physically abusive, then that's different. But in my coaching career, I've never really coached a woman on to leave. I will, whatever decision she makes, I will coach her on that decision and ask her questions about her decision and help her to think logically about the decision and what is right for her. But I'm never going to tell you flat out you need to leave. Unless they ask me flat out, then I might kind of like give some answer around it. But typically, no, I'm not going to tell you that. Because it's really a decision you make on your own. And plus, I feel like I'm not going to hinder anyone from their growth and from their lesson. Because sometimes staying in stuff like that, you need to, in order to get to your next level of growth. So who am I to prevent that from happening? You know, you may be there because there's something there deeper, a deeper message or some kind of growth you need to gain from that situation. So I'm going to just help you through it. But this right here is to help you to make the decision for yourself if you should stay or if you should go. So let's get into it without further ado. So I just want to say that, first of all, understand that relationships of all sorts are going to have challenges, like all types of challenges. It's not just because you are having challenges, it doesn't mean that it's not meant, It's really all about how the challenges are worked out, how you both work through them. So that's what this is mainly going to be about, because if everything's all great and good, I don't think you're going to have a hard time deciding if you should stay or you should go. You're probably going to stay. But it's usually within those challenges that arise in a relationship that has you trying to figure out if this something is for me or not. So the way you tell is that you determine if it's something that you can tolerate. Never say yes to something. That meaning never say basically, quote unquote, yes to something that you feel like that you are okay with tolerating, unless you can say yes to it 1,000 times more. So that means don't look at it as a way of expecting that, okay, they're going to maybe change one day. However they are right now, expect that that's how they're going to be, because change is not up to you. It's up to them. And so you have to determine, am I okay with staying here with this if it doesn't change? And that's one way. That's for like the smaller things, the smaller tidbits that may not be too much of a bother to you. Now, going into the deeper shit, if you bring it up to their attention about how something is bothering you, about how something doesn't feel right, or how they made you feel about something, if you are bringing that up to their attention and they're not willing to work on it, and instead they twist it around, deflect, and put it back on you, and basically do not hold themselves accountable, you want to take that into account. You want to sit there and really ask yourself, okay, this is something that I've brought up to their attention. They're unwilling to change it. Am I okay with tolerating this if it does not change? And if the answer is no, then their relationship answer should be, I gotta leave this alone. They've showed me who they are. I'm gonna believe it. And so I guess in this podcast, I'm gonna tell you whether you should leave or go. Pretty much, in a sense. And so that's the main big difference, because I've realized that in my healthy relationship, there have been challenges, but those challenges made us stronger. It actually made the relationship grow. If you are experiencing challenges in a connection, a relationship with someone, and you're trying to get your point across, and you're trying to mend it, you're trying to build a connection, and they're just not having it, and they're not meeting you halfway with that, it's going to have to be a no. Because how are you to work on challenges if you're doing it by yourself and one person feels that they're not doing anything wrong, or they feel they didn't do anything wrong, or they feel there's nothing to work on, or they're not willing to do it? You can't do it alone. It's making it a one-sided relationship. And so that's how you know that this is not something that I can stay in, because you're going to be in it by yourself. And challenges should not make the relationship weak. Conflict should not weaken the relationship. And that's how you'll know if it's worth staying or not. If it's the same conflict over and over, if it's the same challenge, if you're repeating yourself, you're saying the same thing over and over, you're bringing up how you feel about something, the same thing over and over and over again, they hear you and they know what they're doing, but they do not want to hold themselves accountable. It's at this point now, when you're bringing it up again, they're like, I see she not going anywhere. Why do I have to change? It's not that big of a deal, because it wasn't that big of a deal to me at first, and they don't care, so it's going to remain the same. And then you're going to keep asking and asking until you're tired of asking. That's how you know that you should probably go. Some other things. When love just isn't enough anymore, meaning that you can have all the love in the world for this person. They can have all the love for you in the world as well. But if it doesn't come with like respect, if it doesn't come with trust, if it doesn't come with just them taking an initiative to show up to the relationship, if it doesn't come with that, it's not going to last. It's not genuine love. And that's something I had to realize in my relationships, because you can say you love someone all day long. Like, I loved my last ex, like, a lot. Like, I don't even know if it was real love or what. I don't know what it was. I know it was toxic love, but I felt at the time that I was really in love with him. And none of it was enough. I did not trust him. And I tried to have love without trust before with him. And I came to this realization that when you try to have love without trust, it is a very unpeaceful connection. There's not any peace. There's just basically, now you are becoming obsessed with this person. And when you become obsessed and possessive with them, meaning like you're tracking their calls, tracking where they're going, because you don't trust them. And there's no freedom in there. Whenever they leave and go do something, it's an argument. Whenever you try to leave and go do something, it's an argument, because they don't trust you either. But yet y'all are saying, oh, we love each other. But the love can't flourish in a connection like that if there is no trust. So if there is no trust, ask yourself, can the trust be rebuilt? Can I learn to trust them again? Can I forgive them for the past? Have they shown me that they are changing? Have there actually been changed behavior? And if that's no to those things, then you know what you need to do. It's time to move on. I mean, it's not funny, but it's just funny how I said that I don't like telling people to leave, but I guess with this podcast I got to. But yeah, that's how you probably know it's time to get up and walk away. Because yeah, anyone that you're in a relationship with, you should have more than love. There has to be trust, has to be respect, has to be all of that. And the respect aspect comes into play when it has to do with how they treat you. They have to treat you with honor and respect, meaning that they respect your feelings, they respect your emotions, they respect what you bring to them. They're able to hold themselves accountable. And also they have the integrity to do so. Integrity is how they act when they're not around you. They're meaning that they're putting their relationship and your feelings first. They're acting with integrity. If they are not, and they're just doing whatever they want when you're not around and you're constantly catching them and shit, and they keep saying, I'm going to change, oh, it's nothing, and they're deflecting, making you feel like your feelings don't matter. You cannot be in a relationship with someone that does not give a damn about your feelings. Meaning when you bring up a feeling and saying, I felt this way when you did this and that, and I'm feeling this way, or they're seeing you crying, they're seeing you upset. If they don't care about any of that and let you go to sleep at night crying, let you sit up there and cry, let you sit up there and be upset. If they sit there and watch you in that, they do not care about you, no matter how much they say they love you. Because I realize that some people can really genuinely love you for real, but they have a problem with accountability. That's why I say love is not enough. They may love you, but they don't have the ability to show up for you because of who they are, because of their own shit, their own trauma. Some people have a hard time holding themselves accountable because they don't like feeling like they're in trouble or like they're the bad guy, quote unquote. They don't like that feeling because they already don't feel very good about themselves as is. They already have a low sense of self-worth and may already feel insecure. So whenever you bring up a feeling or something they did or something you don't like, they're going to basically deflect and try to flip it back on you and how you're the problem, because they don't want to sit in that they're possibly a problem, when it's really not about that. It's really an opportunity for them to grow and to show up better for you. And it's the same with you. So if you're in a relationship and you feel like that all the problems are your fault, if they're making you feel like that it's only you that has work to do, if they're making it feel like that they're not doing anything wrong, if they're making you feel like that you shouldn't do this or do that way or act that way, if they're just making you feel alone in everything, you know what you got to do. Because I don't care what the problem is. In a healthy connection, it's going to be you two and the problem working it out, because they want to keep you. So that's something that I really had to realize in my relationship, is that no matter what it is, they're not going to want to see me distraught and unhappy. We're going to want to fix the problem together so we can both have the peace and harmony together in the relationship. And that was a big thing in my healthy relationship now. Whatever my issue was, whatever the problem was, he was trying to fix it. If they're not trying to fix it so that y'all can live peacefully and happily together, and they're just trying to blame it on you, and it's going in circles, and it's an argument all the time, no. You know what you got to do. Some other things that are important is you have to like the decisions they make for their life. You have to be able to fully accept them. If you can't accept them, if you don't like how they live their life, and you bring it to their attention, of course, and it doesn't fix anything, they don't change, that's who they are, you know what you got to do. That may not be something that's right for you, because if you can't say yes to it 1,000 times more, and you don't see yourself saying yes to it for the rest of your life, or for a longevity, however long the relationship lasts, it's gonna be a no. Something else. It's important that you feel safe. That's the main thing. If you don't feel safe in a connection, meaning you don't feel safe to bring up disagreements, you don't feel safe to bring up your feelings, you don't feel safe to just have a different opinion in them, You don't feel safe. You feel like you have to walk on eggshells, basically. If you feel like that and you don't feel like it's a safe space for you to grow, for him to grow, you don't, or whoever you're dating to grow. If you don't feel like it's a safe space for you all to come together and to grow more and to heal more, if it doesn't feel safe, it's not a place you want to be in. It's not going to be healthy for you. You're going to feel that anxious feeling all the time. And do you really want to continue to feel that? You should not feel like that. You should be able to feel like if a problem arises, we're going to work through it together. You shouldn't feel like that this is going to be the end, or that they're going to deflect, or that it's going to be an argument, or that they're going to, blame it on me. You should not have to feel that way. If you do, that is a big sign that that relationship is not for you. I think that's about all. I didn't have much I wanted to say on this because it's really point blank and period. There's really not too much else that can determine that if you should leave or stay. It's really the main things. It's when it gets to the challenges and the conflicts. When it comes to that and how this person shows up, if you're feeling like you can't accept them for who they are, if you're feeling like they don't accept you for who you are, and you're feeling like it's a mismatch there, it's not something that you're going to want to remain in. Because something that I have realized when it comes to totally accepting someone for who they are, that's when I feel like unconditional love steps in. Now, I know a lot of you may have heard and been thinking like, wait a minute, relationship love, romantic love should be conditional. You only stay with someone under condition. They treat you right and don't disrespect you and don't hurt you. That's a given to me. That's a given. But when you are really in a commitment and relationship with someone, you have to be able to totally accept them. Meaning that's the unconditional love part that comes in. And its meaning as far as it goes is how someone feels about you on a day-to-day basis. Because you don't want someone to wake up suddenly and decide, I don't want you anymore because they don't like the way you look, or they don't like the way you do this or that, or they just decide that, the love has ran out and they don't love you anymore. Because the thing is, y'all, if you want a long-lasting relationship, it's going to be deeper than just love. You're going to have to actually be able to like and accept this person, because I'm telling you from experience of being in a healthy relationship with someone for going on 8 years now married, there are a lot of little quirks and things that's going to be about that person that you are going to have to learn to either accept or decide you just can't be with them, because nobody is perfect. And you're not even perfect. There's going to be some little things about you and little quirks that they're going to have to accept. And that's where the unconditional love steps in. Like, that's what keeps the love afloat and growing and keeps them loving you. We know that, you're not going to want to be with someone anymore if the conditions of them treating you right, loving you right aren't met. We know that. That is a total given. So that's why I like to say it's important that you're able to accept someone and that they're able to accept you. That's the unconditional love part that steps in. That is so, so, so important. That's what makes you feel safe. That's what makes me feel safe and not anxious that this man is going to up and decide he doesn't want me and abandon me all of a sudden. Because he loves me unconditionally. He loves me in the morning when I'm looking a hot mess with no makeup on, my little acne spots. He loves me that I've gained a little weight. He loves me when my hair is not done. He loves me when I don't feel like cooking. He loves me when I'm being lazy. He loves me when I don't feel like doing shit. He loves me when I'm upset. He loves me when I'm angry. He loves me when I'm tired. He loves me when I'm frustrated. He's not over there like, I'm about to run. He loves me. He even loves me through my mental health issues. That is unconditional love, and I wish that on every woman listening to this. And if you are a man listening, hey, I wish it for you too, because you deserve that as well. But my podcast is mostly geared towards women. But I want my women that, have a tendency to feel anxious in their connections and have an anxious attachment. Trust me. girlfriend, you want that unconditional love. You want someone that you feel like is going to stay with you no matter what. Of course, you're not treating them bad. That goes without saying, but I feel like I have to say that so y'all know what I mean by unconditional love. I'm meaning you want someone that's going to love you through and through no matter what, because physical looks change, your mood is going to change, your mental health is going to change, life is going to be lifing, even the hardships that come in a relationship. You want someone to love you through all of that and to be patient with you and love you just for you. And I'm telling you, like, that's the main core thing that keeps, I feel like, my relationship together with my husband, is because we love each other unconditionally, like through and through. There's no threats of us leaving each other. We don't feel anxious that one is going to abandon the other. That's what keeps it feeling safe. So you want that unconditional love aspect. You want someone that you feel like that you can accept. That's very important. Some other things that I want to get into as well that I almost forgot to mention is that a lot of times, we have a hard time deciding if it's our trauma and our past or whatnot that's causing the friction in relationship, or is it them. And I want you to know that it can be both at the same time. It's both. Like, if something that they're doing is triggering you or making you feel anxious or making you feel away, it's triggering your trauma. It is your trauma. So that's why I say it is both. Now, here is the telltale sign that if it's something that you want to stay in. When you are in a relationship with someone, you want it to be a safe space. So if triggers arise and you bring that up and you try to work on it and you bring it to their attention and you're vulnerable with them, they should receive that well and receive that in a way to where they love you and they want to work with you on it and to work with you on that while you work on it as well. It should be a safe space to where you can heal, and you should feel safe with them that they're really wanting to work on it with you and not trying to alienate you even more or make you feel even worse about your trauma. So, for example, if you need help with understanding this, I had issues in the beginning with my husband with abandonment, with him wanting to spend time away from me. And I didn't know how to word that or how to work that out. So what I started doing was being vulnerable and telling him, hey, I really need some more time with you. I would like to have more time. It was hard for me to get to that point because I've never been that vulnerable. I've never expressed my needs that way. I've never asked for anything. I've always been scared to speak up for what I want because of how I grew up. I could never speak up in my house, so it's like my needs didn't matter. It's none of that. So I didn't know how to do that. I just knew how to cry, how to throw a fit, how to get mad at him and fight, all of that. That's the only thing I knew how to do. But then I just slowly started, just let me just ask. I don't know what provoked me to do that, but I guess because how he made me feel in it. He made me always feel like, baby, if it's something you need, just ask me. If it's that, he always kind of made me feel safe. And I just had to slow down and realize that that's what he was trying to do. And he probably didn't understand how to meet my needs because I didn't understand how to vocalize my needs. And so I remember just one day texting him because he was asking me what's wrong. This was a lot in the beginning. We were always talking about what's wrong with me now. What's wrong with me now? And it was never in a way of like, what's wrong with you now? What I don't need it wrong now. It was never in that way. It was always like, okay, babe, what do I need to do now? What's going on now? It was like that. He always met me, I always felt safe with it. And so with him coming to me, making me feel safe like that, like it's safe to just ask. I started saying, hey, I would like to spend more time with you. And he did. He started spending more time with me. He found ways to do that. I'll never forget one day he surprised me. I had my own apartment for like 2 years at the beginning before I met him. So I had my own apartment when I met him. And he showed up in the middle of the week when he usually does it to spend a night with me. And he left early to go to work and everything. So he spent the night there and got up early to go to work just to spend more time with me. And it was that simple. And that's how you know if you should stay. if you bring up something and you're vulnerable and you're at your moment of where you're actually opening up about how you feel and about what you need, and they meet your needs with like they don't care, that's a problem. So yeah, might have been the moments for being triggered, but yes, he met those triggers with a safe space for me to grow in. And so with me realizing that it's safe for him to leave me because he's not going to abandon me. It's safe that, because I can always ask if I need time. I can always see him next time. I started slowly realizing that this is safe. I'll see him again, so to speak. My nervous system had to realize that, hey, it's okay. He'll be back. He's just going to hang out with his friends. Or, hey, you can trust him. He's not out with some girl cheating on you. Or, hey, you can trust him. My nervous system had to literally, it just had to have that experience to realize that this was safe for me to let my guard down and be vulnerable and be okay. That's how you know where you should stay. So, yes, you're going to be triggered, but it's beautiful in a sense, Like to be triggered and to just grow and to become someone different. Like I've grown so much in this space. Like it's unreal. Like it is unreal. Like it's unreal. I'm at loss for words. And it's basically, I'm saying, don't be afraid to be the quote unquote red flag, or don't be afraid to be triggered by your partner. It doesn't mean that you should run. It's how those triggers are worked out and how they're handled. And you take it upon yourself to hold yourself accountable. Like, what can I do better? What can I do different? And then you start working on it because you're in a safe space to do so. Like, it is so hard to work on your triggers. It is so hard to be emotionally available. It is so hard to it is just so hard to actually be in that space and hold yourself accountable if you have someone that's making you feel bad about it, or have someone that is pointing the finger at you. Of course, who would hold themselves accountable in that space when an emotionally unintelligent person that's just pointing the finger, like, so to speak, blaming you, or making fun of you, or not making it safe for you to just let your guard down and be vulnerable. No, you're not gonna work on your triggers, and no, you're not gonna hold yourself accountable, because you're gonna try to match up one with him and like, okay, bet we going there, we about to fight about it. All right, what about you and you doing this? You both start picking and pointing the finger and fighting with each other. It's not peaceful because you're getting defensive now because of how they're making you feel, and vice versa. So it can't work in that situation. However, if you're triggered and you're able to be open and vulnerable about it and go to them about how you feel, and they're open and receiving it, instead of saying, yeah, you do need to work on that, you are the problem. You know what I'm saying? Someone coming at you like that, they should not ever make you feel small or belittle you for any type of trigger, any type of emotional baggage you have, anything you have going on. They should not make you feel small or belittle you for it, or make fun of you for it, or deflect, or just, they should not make you feel bad about any of it. It's more so, okay, how can we work on this together? What can I do to make this a better space for you? I did the same for my husband. He had some of his own triggers. Not as many as mine, but who's counting, who's, comparing. But I'm saying he had some of his own things that I'm not going to speak on because that's his business and our business. I just share mine, so I'm not going to share his without his permission. It's just I keep my relationship, private. But he had some things. And he came to me about him. And of course, I'm going to, be all open ears because I care about him. It's like when you care and love about someone, you're going to be arms open wide, ears open, heart open, ready to hear them and try to help them. Especially if you see that they're wanting to change. And it's so crazy because I tried to do all of this with my exes. And I know some of you women out there listening tried to do it with your exes as well. You try to be that soft landing for them, that soft space for them. You tried to be that corrective emotional experience for them, to show them something different. You tried. And that's beautiful. I don't want you to ever regret trying that with someone. They just weren't ready for that. And me and my husband, we were at that stage where, we want something real. And so the little ups and downs we had, they became ups because basically we worked through them and we were both able to come to each other and be each other's safe spaces. That's so, so important. Like, there's going to be conflicts. There's going to be triggers. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be times where your feelings may change, where you don't feel the same. But it can be worked out because you should be able to come to that person and be open, honest, and vulnerable about what it is, and you can work through it. Now, I'll admit sometimes those things you may not be able to work through because it depends on the severity of them, if that person can hold the space for you, and all you have to do is just accept it, that they can't hold that space. And just, I know it will be hurtful, but it's better that you know than that you don't know. So, always be vulnerable. It's in your best interest to be open and vulnerable in your relationship because that's how you will be able to know if this person is for you or not. Because how they treat you when you're being emotional or how they treat your vulnerability says a lot about them and how they care about you. So how they come to you and how they hold that space for you, that is the most important. Because there's going to be ups and downs, for sure. There's going to be little quirks about them that's going to get on your nerves. There's going to be things about you that get on their nerves. But at the end of the day, the love is going to grow. And sometimes, y'all, sometimes you may find yourself, I don't want to say bored, but you may find yourself maybe a little bored, maybe like you don't feel like you're quote unquote in love with them. And I will tell you this, it's because a lot of us are used to that in love feeling like we're chasing someone or feeling like we're romanticizing someone. That in love feeling comes from us trying to chase like that next high of when we're going to get that good out of them or when we're going to get that breadcrumb out of them. You know, we're used to that. We're used to that feeling like love and not something that's just steady the same way day in and day out. The person that shows up day in and day out. If you're not used to that, it may kind of feel like it's a little boring and it may feel like you're not in love with them. But let me tell you something. I've realized that in love feeling is a feeling that grows. Like in a healthy relationship, the love grows no matter how long you have been together. The love still grows. Like it's little things that my husband would do, or little moments where I'll be like, I love him all over again. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but think of it as like, I didn't think of an analogy for this, but just think of it like this. It's not like that toxic love where it's hot and heavy in the beginning and it's all excitement and butterflies, anxiousness, all that shit. It's not that feeling. That's not what in love is. It's the feeling of you just growing in love with that person. Day in, day out. The conflicts, the triggers that we worked through, me becoming better, seeing him become better, all that helped us to grow in love. So look at is in love meaning that it's gonna be hills and valleys. Is that right? Hills, the top of the hill and the valley is gonna be hills and valleys. And it's going to be where you're basically growing more and more in love with that person. You're growing more in love with them. Not quote unquote like in love. It's more like growing in love. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Like I'm saying you're growing in love, meaning the love grows throughout the years. That's what you're looking for. And when you work through those conflicts and those issues and you come out better, and when you start spending more time together, when you're vulnerable with each other, when you can just say how you feel, when they do little things for you, all of that, it's just, you'll just find yourself suddenly looking at them like, I really love them. Like, I find myself throughout the day sometimes thinking about something that my husband has done or said or whatever, and I'm just like, I really love him. That to me is that in love feeling, because it's a feeling that just grows and it just comes like in waves, so to speak. And it's not that toxic shit where it's just like chasing. So that can make you feel like it was in love. That made me feel like I was in love. Like with my ex, I felt like I was so in love with him because I wanted him so badly because I was chasing him. You know what I'm saying? That made me feel like, because it felt like I was trying to obtain something the whole time. Like, I feel like I was trying to win him over, win his love, make him act right, make him change. And I feel like I was always waiting to see him again because he was so inconsistent. I felt like it was that, and I romanticized how the relationship was gonna go because he was so attracted to me. So I romanticized the whole relationship with us. Like, I want, an attractive as hell man and all of that. That was my top of the list because he just looked good to me. Not saying looks are not important, but that was like the top, and I just said, fuck everything else. and I just romanticized the whole shit. Like, okay, if he can just act right, then yeah. And so I felt like that was in love because I felt like that hunger and need, and I was constantly chasing him. You're not going to feel like that in a healthy relationship. That doesn't mean that it's time to go, that the love is stale. It doesn't mean that. It just means that it's safe. And if you're feeling like you need a little time, you feel like you need something a little extra, you feel like you need some excitement, you can come to them and say, hey, I think we should do this, or hey, I'm feeling this way. I can always go to my husband and say, hey, I think we need to spend some time together. Or hey, I think we should do this. And he like, okay, or if I'm feeling the way, I can come to him about it. So that's the difference. If you can't go to your partner and have a civil conversation about how you feel, and he can't be an emotionally safe space for you. If you feel anxious, if you feel like you're walking on eggshells all the time, if you just don't feel a sense of calmness and safety in that space, then yeah, you know what you may need to do. Because you can tell them all day long, come to them about it, try to work on it. And if it's to no avail and you realize nothing's changing, it's become a pattern. And patterns, I mean, they're probably not going to break because they don't realize they need to break them patterns. Like, things can come up, issues can arise, conflict can arise. But it should not be the same over and over again, It's become a choice and a pattern that they're making now. And they're not hearing you and wanting to change, or maybe they don't feel like they have to change, or maybe they feel like, who knows what it is. But they just feel like that they're not ready to do that, they're not in the space to do that, or that they shouldn't do that, or it shouldn't be a problem to you. They don't understand why it's a problem to you. Nothing like that, then, hey, it's the wrong time and place for that relationship, and y'all just not right, and it's okay, It's okay. It doesn't mean that that's the last chance of love. It just means that that's not it. And you have to end that in order to begin what is for you and find what is for you. So remember that. But that's all I got for this podcast episode. I hope it kind of helped you answer some questions about your relationship if you ever felt like you're not sure if you should stay or you should go. I hope that helped you to decide. And one last little thing I want to add. I almost forgot. I keep on doing this, but I forgot to add this. Ladies, if you feel like that you're just not with that relationship anymore, like you just don't feel it, you don't feel a romantic connection, you just don't feel it, it's okay to say no and let go of a good guy. That's something I wanted to add in. Like, after all of this is said and done, if, none of it fits you, like the relationship is good, but you just don't feel the connection, you don't feel romantic connection, you don't feel sexually attracted to them, you just don't feel it. You like them, you think they're a good person, but you just don't have that feeling that this is it. Hey, it's okay to let go of a good guy. There'll be others that you will feel more connected to. That doesn't mean you don't want a good person. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. If it's just not there, it's just not there. Don't force it. That's what I want to say on that. Like, it's okay to leave for no reason, It's okay to leave if they haven't, quote unquote, done anything wrong. If it's just not for you, you're just not feeling it, that's not the relationship for you. Not at this time, it's not. That's just not the person for you, And it is what it is. So, forgot to add that in. That's very important. That's all I got to say on that part, though. So, that's all I got for this podcast episode, girlfriends. Until the next one, peace out.